Nanti selama kita webinar, saya akan sangat berterima kasih ya, apresiasi kalau kameranya bisa on. Jadi itu lebih suasananya lebih akrab, lebih hangat gitu. Tapi kalau memang ada kendala kameranya tidak bisa dihidupkan juga selama kita jangan lupa mengisi presensi dan juga tentu saja bertanya gitu. Kalau kameranya bisa on, karena narsum kita memang spesialis di bidang CSR, lebih akrab, lebih hangat gitu. Tapi kalau memang ada kendala kameranya tidak bisa dihidupkan juga selama ya. Jadi jangan lupa mengisi presensi dan juga tentu saja sambil nunggu ada yang mau nyanyi kah? Saya mau putar lagu tapi kayaknya selera lagu saya nanti berbeda sama pendengar di ruangan ini. Kalau ada yang mau nyanyi gitu. Siapa ya?
mahasiswa kami di Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Universitas Mulawarman. Appreciate betul ya, appreciate sekali pada Miss Laura. Oke, alhamdulillah berarti hari ini kita akan mendapatkan pencerahan terutama bagaimana tentang CSR, dan CSR ini merupakan hal yang begitu penting terutama kita yang tinggal di Kalimantan Timur. Karena kebetulan saya juga mengurus tentang CSR-nya di Kalimantan Timur. Nah, untuk tujuan itulah harapan kita partisipasi perguruan tinggi, partisipasi orang akademis terhadap CSR ini begitu merupakan sebuah hal yang sangat bagus ya, sangat-sangat dibutuhkan. Karena apa? Karena memang kita sebagai akademisi itu biasanya memberikan menjembatanin kegiatan-kegiatan CSR itu. Dan posisi CSR sebenarnya di kantor itu adalah posisi yang diharapkan di Indonesia dia posisinya di hampir di urutan pertama atau kedua ya sebenarnya CSR yang ada beredar, karena banyaknya perusahaan-perusahaan multinational company yang di Kalimantan itu merupakan sebagai akademisi itu ya bahagian yang harus kita pelajari. Jadi hari ini kita sangat bersyukur dengan kehadiran Mrs. M.L.Franco yang bisa memberikan pencerahan kepada kita bagaimana praktik-praktik yang bisa dilaksanakan di Europe dan kita bisa adopsi ya adopsi yang dilakukan. Nanti mudah-mudahan itu juga menjadi bagian semangat kita tentang bagaimana mengolah CSR di Kalimantan Timur. Tidak hanya sekedar di industri-industri yang mengolah raw material, tapi juga adalah
inconsistent. So now I will again. Oh. So give me a second. Can you see now the screen, the full screen?
Yes.
Very good.
Please.
So, all right, I will start. I think I have about 19 minutes, 1.5 hours. I will try to stick to the time, okay? So this is me. As I said, thank you very much for this opportunity to explain corporate social responsibility and social enterprises from, let's say, the Dutch standpoint. The agenda, the topics I will cover will follow this structure. So I will start with explaining why corporate social responsibility and why social enterprises. Also give a short introduction to the CSR strategic advantages and explain as the last point the social enterprises as a particular type of social responsibility venture. Okay, so this is the program of this session. And well, I will start with why social responsibility in private organizations, well, can also be in public organizations, why not? In general, one can say that one of the reasons is the fact that we have the responsibility, the ethical responsibility to offer, economic conditions. Sorry, it's going too fast. So the responsibility towards the society. So we are in many, places in the world, unfortunately, familiar with this kind of images, where we see that there are some production facilities of the industry that have, specific emissions of substances that can have negative effect to the health of people. So, for instance, it was mentioned that by the World Health Organization, WHO, in 2015, that about 7 million people worldwide die annually because of air pollution. And if, let's say, things continue operating in the way they are they were in 2015, this amount of people can be doubled. So 14 million people worldwide could have could die because of air pollution problems. So just to say that due to the epidemiological and toxicological studies done in the past, one can right now correlate the emission of some pollutants to the air, to water, to the soil as the main reasons to have health impacts and have, people getting sick, or even, as I mentioned, people dying because of the pollution generated by particular facilities in the private sector. So this calls for action. And, this kind of problems have been, in a way, addressed since 1972, when the book of Silent Spring by Carson was released. In her book, she explained the effect of plaguicide pesticides on the environment and how this was changing the physical environment and killing some species in mainly water bodies. But along the time, you can see there have been different important events that showed the effect of our human activities in the environment, and therefore different, manifestations from green groups, let's say, start moving that political agenda towards more in a way that the governments and different groups of interest start taking a specific action. And one important reference, is the Brundtland report in 1987, when the term of social sustainable development was released, was written down. This is a very important moment in the history of the environmental protection, because we start talking about being responsible with the way we use the natural resources to produce our services and products that wouldn't compromise the amount of and quality of those resources for future generations. So this was a very important moment. And in a way, from this Brundtland report, many other important policy instruments have been developed along the way. And there were other important summits, meetings, talking about the relevance of being more responsible with the way we go with our resources and the impacts to the environment. And the Paris Agreement in 2015 is what we all are living and we have the Sustainable Development Goals, which were part of this agreement. So just to say that it's important also to realize that there are biological cycles explaining how some substances are reintegrated in a natural process, let's say. CO2 emissions substance are important for the carbon cycle on Earth, but what is relevant for you to realize, for us to realize, is that the ecosystem has a particular capacity to absorb such CO2 emissions. And at the point we are already, went above such capacity of the natural ecosystem to absorb the CO2. and then the CO2 become an actual problem for the whole ecosystem. So, and that particular CO2 emissions have been related to something that we all know as climate change. So this carbon exceeded amount of emissions now are part of the international agenda. Why? Because it has been identified that some particular countries which have an important industrial development have been contributing more than other countries, let's say, to this CO2 emission problem, CO2 emission problem, and therefore having a higher impact on the climate change. So you can see here some of those countries that are highlighted. Germany in Europe, China, United States, and well, it's a long list of countries that have an important impact on on the climate change because of the amount of dioxide carbon that they are releasing to the atmosphere, and this amount is not possible to be reintegrated. So we basically use in let's say environmental science some terms like ecological footprint that tries to quantify how much we as humans in a specific type of activities are impacting different elements of the nature, like the amount of forest needed, the amount of energy consumed, the amount of grazing land, the amount of fishing, etc. So all these are in a way quantified.
Iya, sama menyalip. Iya, nggak apa-apa juga. Tante, open kan nggak apa-apa juga.
Hello?
Yes, Laura, you can continue. Sorry about the voices.
Can you hear me?
Oke, Laura.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. So I was telling that there are different ways to evaluate our impact on the environment. One, I explained the ecological footprint, and we also have water footprint. This is the research work of one of our researchers, Ute. Unfortunately, he passed away last year, very young, by the way. Professor Hoekstra, who developed the methodology to allocate the water consumption per product. So as you can read here, one can look at the amount of water needed for the production of a specific, in this case, wheat, sugar, tea, coffee, a piece of meat. To produce 300 grams of meat from beef, 4,650 liters of water are needed. So it requires a lot of water to produce just 300 grams. So this can be a way, to understand how our consumption patterns can have an important impact on in terms of water consumption on this case. And we can make choices if we want to, have a smaller footprint in terms of water. We could definitely avoid, for instance, to eat meat from beef because of the high amount of water needed for that. So this is from the consumer viewpoint. so that we can make more responsible decisions by knowing this kind of information, of course. So I'm moving to the second reason. So the first reason of being more socially and environmentally responsible is this ethical, because we want to do the right things as individuals, and also keep the good health conditions of the population. The other reason to be more responsible is the governmental pressure. And that means that the government has defined some important policies to protect the environment, but also to protect the health of people. And for that, they have developed different instruments, as you can read here. We are more familiar with regulatory instruments, norms, standards, laws, regulations, environmental control and enforcement, rules, procedures. We are also familiar with economic instruments like taxes, certificates of trading, green public procurement, subsidies, etc. Subsidies. We also might heard about informational instruments, eco-labels, for instance, for the consumers to know how much water is used, how much emissions to the air, dioxide carbon, for instance, is released while producing a particular product. So this kind of information can be accessible in an eco-label, informational centers, etc. There are a large number of policy instruments that can help the government to implement laws and regulations for protecting the environment. There are also certifications, and the corporate social responsibility can be considered in this category. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Laura.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I heard, yeah, okay. So voluntary agreements in the Netherlands have been very successful and have a very long history. Some sectors, for instance, the chemical one, has signed this kind of agreements at sector level to say that they want not only to comply with laws and regulations, they want to go beyond such frameworks to show their greener practices. So in some cases, they can even get a certification or just get the recognition of being environmental and socially responsible. And indeed, when these instruments, policy instruments, are well implemented, good companies, they get right at the right attention, because they become some of the best practices in their sector, in the network, and many companies like to replicate what they are doing and become like them. So that is, from the business viewpoint perspective, a competitive advantage in the market they are operating. So being green pays back for those good companies. So we are still in the first topic, explaining the reasons why companies would like to become more socially responsible, more environmentally as well. And the third reason is that the company reputation is very important, and they would like to have a good company image to become front runner in their sector, as I said. And there are also organizations benchmarking them, comparing how they are performing in terms of this case sustainability. So not only the environment, but also their social inclusiveness and responsibilities. So, and this table comes from Ramcom organization, and they used in the past to Robert Kosam, sorry, Robert Kosam in the past used to rank companies who issued the corporate social responsibility report, and based on that, this consultancy, Robert Kosam, had a list of companies, 26 in the past, who were, you know, openly and publicly you know, published. They were announced in a way that other companies could see, okay, these are good references, good examples to follow. And this could also be important, you know, for investors, you know, private investors of banks or organizations that are looking for opportunities to, in a safer way, invest their money. So the fact that companies could be published, I mean, listed in this kind of rankings was very positive for them, because they were not only doing the right thing for the environment and society, but they also the time to report such activities and send the report, apply the report to this kind of benchmarking. So that's a complete an important work from the, you know, public relationship departments of those organizations, that they really wanted to communicate what good their companies were doing locally for the environment and for the people. So nowadays, this Robecosam benchmarking changed. Now they talk about industry leaders, and from 2018. And in 2009, they changed the way to benchmark the organizations. Now there is this 2019 Dow Jones Sustainable Index, and people, sorry, companies like to be member of this index. And this is something that just changed recently, and most likely is already, I mean, announced, which are those good practices in terms of sustainability reporting, actually, because they use indifferently the term of social responsibility, corporate social responsibility with sustainability reporting. So people just use either way of them. So, okay, so there are different ways for companies to compare themselves within the sectors and across sectors to say who are doing the right thing. But there are also, you know, they also do this because they are aware that since we have social media, individuals of non-governmental organizations, NGOs, who are, you know, always advocating for the environment protection and you know, social justice, are more, they can have access in a more open way. So, you know, nowadays companies which are bigger than 500 employees might be entitled to post their reports in their web pages, and so that means that the information is accessible for anyone. And for instance, NGOs like Greenpeace, you probably have heard about this NGO, have can in a way comment when they see that the company is not doing what they say they are doing. So there is, let's say, more active role of citizens to check indeed that what the company is doing is true. So there is indeed that if there is a risk of companies when they are not doing what they claim they are doing, they can lose, consumers because of bad reputation. They can lose investors, and then at the end, the company can go bankrupt. So that's something that definitely motivates the companies to be more, open with what they are doing, and just say if frank to everybody, because they know that some organizations can find out the truth. So from more academic viewpoint, this has led to the development of a particular topic, discipline, in relation to how, hello? So
Yeah, Laura.
how organizations can cope with all these challenges from the management viewpoint. So there is this concept of corporate environmental management that tell us that through this kind of management, the purpose is to reduce the environmental potential impacts from the business, from the company, and in a way that they can adapt products, the organizational structure and organizational processes. Also engage with stakeholders and more importantly, if needed, change the business conduct. So all with the purpose to improve the environmental performance of their activities. And there are different instruments that allow that helps organizations to deal with the corporate environmental management. So, well, this is important. Why? Because the sustainable development concept, because it's a broader concept. It calls not only for being environmentally responsible, but also for including the social and economic dimensions of sustainable development. And as I said, that enables organizations to keep in good condition, in good quality, and amount the resources for future generations. So, and this concept is clearly embedded in the corporate responsibility. So now I'm entering more into the topic. Because this responsibility can be indeed divided in the three pillars of sustainable development, as you can read here. So we have economic dimension. Business are primarily responsible for delivering products and services. We all know that, but to some extent they can also enhance local capacities, social capital, let's say, for development purpose, economically, socially, etc. And in the ecological dimension of sustainable development, of course, the companies have the will and responsibility to protect the physical environment along the entire value chain. So it's not just in the location where they are operating that they have such responsibility. They should also try to engage the suppliers and consumer and clients in their way to protect the environment. So yes, and start thinking in ways to having positive impacts instead of negative impacts to the environment. From the social dimension, of course, it has to do with the human rights and employee rights, but also how they promote social integration of their operations in their across their value chain, their own value chain. So well, all that can definitely have a contribution to the Sustainable Development Goals from different perspectives, like releasing people from poverty conditions, reducing hunger, because people might have access to employment and income, and then well, they can cover their basic needs, like also health care, education, guarantee equity, or try to engage with more gender balanced conditions, have access to water, clean water, energy, etc. And all that fit perfectly in the responsible consumption production when we discuss this topic, this term of corporate social responsibility and social enterprises. So yeah, there are different interconnections among these sustainable development goals and the corporate sustainable management opportunities. There are many, I would say, approaches to cope from the business perspective with the challenges. And they can go from the consumer perspective, responsible consumers, image of the business, sustainable product, create or sustainable enterprises. And today we are mainly focused on the image of the business, which is one of the approaches of sustainable management, and also the sustainable enterprises. Okay, so we are getting to the second point of the agenda. I'm looking at the time. So in the second part, we said that corporate social responsibility can be a way for companies to cope with, to display and to explain their efforts to be more environmentally social oriented. But what is a corporate social responsibility? And I can imagine that in your courses, you already covered this conceptually, so that you know that this is indeed a managerial tool for organizations, mainly companies, to map their environmental, social, and economic opportunities for improvement in the short and long term. So in a way, we can discuss that this is a strategic aspect of a strategic tool that can help, companies to communicate with government and other groups of interest. We call them stakeholders, groups of interest, to communicate what they are doing, but also very importantly, they can use CSR as a tool to collaborate, to interact, to learn the viewpoints from each other that can help the organization to move forward in their agenda. So, and also CSR can be considered a way to build capacities towards more sustainable societies, because it's so, the framework of social responsibility is so broad that can really fit into any type of organization that wants to, create more fair and inclusive societies. So the question is whether this corporate social responsibility have the expected results. And that's something that can be discussed for a whole session. And I just want to bring this way of thinking, I would say quite conventional one, from this Nobel Prize of Economy, Mr. Milton Friedman, who at certain point was asked, what is a corporate responsibility? And he responded, well, the responsibility of business is to increase its profits. But well, this was several years ago, and things have changed importantly. As I said, we have now more the voice of the society asking for for a cleaner and healthy environment, for instance, and in a way that companies realize that their responsibilities go beyond only creating economic benefit. They realize that they can also use these broader responsibilities towards the environment and society as part of their business strategy, as part of their business model. And when they put it in as part of their business model, I would say that's when we start discussing the term of social enterprises. So you can understand that business strategy, I mean, including this kind of responsibilities in the business strategy, fits very good into the corporate social responsibility, which is, well, something developed at large corporations mainly. Can also be in small companies, but well, they still call it corporate social responsibility. And when these social and economical values are, you know, integrated in the business plan, in the business model, then we are now discussing a different type of business, like sustainable business, social business, green businesses. So, and this is where we bridge the two terms, the corporate social responsibility with social sustainable enterprises. So I hope we are getting this important point to connect the two topics. I also like to show you this this model from Carroll's. It's very famous, Carroll's pyramid, showing what are the type of business responsibilities. And then you can see in the base of the pyramid, the economic and legal. Those are, I would say, the standard, the most common responsibility used. But then the organizations, when they move, what they have accomplished with all these type of responsibilities, they can jump into those that are considered more ethical and even more philanthropical responsibilities. So that's an interesting way to map what are the priorities of organizations. They always start with economic and legal, and then try to cope with the legal responsibilities. But as I said, some organizations, social enterprises, try to integrate all of them at once, which is an interesting phenomenon. So yes, so this is a kind of reflection. Corporate social responsibility is relatively a new paradigm, though there are some efforts from organizations that can be back in the past to like a century or more than a century. I won't go into that, but anyway, this corporate social responsibility can be considered still a new paradigm. And which aspect do you think that is in the priority of the CSR focus? So this is kind of poll. We are not to do that, but I would like to reflect on what is this priority in the focus of CSR, the role of business in society and development, the manner in which the business is conducted in a more ethical way, the corporate governance that also engage with other groups of interest and not only with investors and suppliers, consumers. The fact that this can be a way to relieve poverty conditions, can be a tool for sustainable strategies, business, government, and civil society partnerships, can be improved through you know, CSR implementation. So yeah, what can be the priority of the CSR focus? I would say that all of them play a role. They are important for organizations, and that is something that each organization needs to decide what can be the focus of CSR, what can be the priority for them. So I'm moving forward just to say that usually companies have a way to operate that includes governments, because from they get the license to produce, and also they need to have a niche. They have to have a market, because it's a way to get a license to sell. But they also need a license to operate that is provided by regular citizens, the societal members, who have a say about the way this company operates. Otherwise, they get confrontations with, for instance, local communities where people are not happy on the way this company is operating. Maybe it's very obvious that this company is releasing some emissions to there, some pollutants, and therefore the society is complaining, and they complain to the government, and then the government might take action to say, well, if you don't do something, you get penalties. You don't control the problem, then you get penalties, and you can even be, you have to stop your operation. So it's very important, this part, and that's where social responsibility, corporate social responsibility approach take an important role, because it's the way to give voice to these local people when they are unhappy with the way the company is operating. From the European Union viewpoint, there are a couple of definitions that are important to remember here. They say that responsibility enterprises for their impacts of society. So it's not just as it was mentioned before, making profit is the main responsibility. No, companies show their responsibility towards society. So enterprises should have in place a process to integrate social, environment, ethical, and human rights and consumer concerns into their business operations and core strategy, also in close collaboration with their stakeholders, with groups of interest. Otherwise, they can get into troubles. And since 2014, there is a European Union directive explaining that this should be part of the regular operation. Report on corporate social responsibilities in European at EU level. Any organization that is bigger than 500 employees should have this not financial statement, this not financial report, presenting what we just discussed, how they are working to show the respect for the human rights, anti-corruption as well, and bribery matters, not only looking at environmental issues and social justice, but also anti-corruption measures. This is in Europe, yes?
Sorry, your time still 5 minutes more. It's okay.
Oh my God. Okay, I will then go faster.
Okay.
Thank you. So, well, I won't go more into the detail of this, but there are different organizations guiding the companies in the development of their reports. So, and what is also important to know is that the way CSR is implemented might be different per country. Some countries focus more on the capacities development, like is the case in the Netherlands, while in other countries like United States, they are more philanthropical oriented. Well, in Indonesia, I understand that you also have this regulation motivating companies to report their social responsibility, and they are more oriented to their environmental impacts. Stakeholder management is very important. Why? Because in the past and the traditional business, there were mainly employees and value chain stakeholders involved, but nowadays you can see the number of groups of interest has increased importantly. governmental organizations, the environment itself, the media, communities should be also considered in the development of the company's social responsibilities strategies. These are the most important guidance for reporting. You might be familiar with the Global Reporting Initiative. Why? Because it's the most common used globally, well, they have the headquarters here in Amsterdam, and they have been, very proactively promoting their frameworks. Like nowadays, we talk about the Global Reporting Initiative standards, which are in principle more flexible for its use. But whatever the company decides to use, they always start with the standard 101, because it gives indications of the quality standards to be applied for the three different pillars of sustainability: the economic, environmental, and societal ones. Okay, due to the time, I will just go to the next topic very quickly, which is sustainable enterprises. And that is a typology that shows the actual connection between corporate social responsibility and social enterprises, social venture. This comes from Neck, Bruce, and Allen in 2009. They categorize the efforts of companies to have a social mission with a social market. And you can see that in the case of corporate social responsibility, companies might have an economic mission, but they have a social market impact. While for social enterprises, the mission can be social, but they have still economic market impact. So they have this, let's say, the purpose as part of their business model, but still they need to create economic value to keep their operation. So in the case of social responsible enterprises or corporate social responsibility, they were born from the economic mission viewpoint, but they try very hard to have a social market impact. So basically connect with sustainable or green consumers. So the work of social entrepreneurs, I won't go into detail to that, but basically is to solve social environmental problems, be innovative, creative, and transform not only the operation of the company, but the whole ecosystem where they operate. There are very good examples in terms of social enterprises. Mohan Yunus, he was a Nobel Prize because he started this important movement of microcredits. You might have heard about it. Bill Drayton has an important foundation that supports social entrepreneurs, and well, Skoll Foundation is also one of the great examples. I'll go faster. Ashoka Fellows is one of those from this organization, from Bill Drayton. Ashoka is a great example. They have many projects around the world where they prove to have social orientation, trying to solve a specific problem, like moving children from the streets. In India, is a very strong problem of providing scholarships for new generations. There are different funding sources for that. As I explained, microcredits from Mr. Yunus is a great example. Crowdfunding and governmental programs. For instance, in the Netherlands, there was this Move to Social that is a platform for companies who want to start a social venture. And in England, there have been different type of policy instruments to incentivize companies to show more or to work more on their social values. But also there are they create this, for instance, the social public procurement policy to motivate their providers to become more social. It's a complete movement. The social enterprise ecosystem has grown along the years. It's a big movement trying to cope with local problems, local opportunities, and help communities to become more sustainable. Green enterprises has been also there for already a couple of decades, as you can read there, and they started trying to have a positive effects to the environment and create regional economic benefits. This is a very nice example. It's a film about, you know, the production of solar panels. You can see here she learned how to produce this. She has not a major on engineering of whatever. She learned. That's part of this kind of enterprises that create capacities locally. They engage local people. They create employment, and that's what makes them very socially responsible. There are some examples. I will skip them from UT. Teaching perspective is a great example, but I will just skip it due to the time. With this, I did this exercise with master students, try to identify what are the main difference with traditional business against social enterprises. I would say some of the most important, you can read them yourself, but it's about the loyalty of employees. So in commercial type of companies, the employees are more mobile. If they get a higher income, well, they just change companies. But for social enterprises, employees understand their social impact and they are more loyal to the organization. So they don't move that easily from the organization because they have the commitment for the purpose of the company. So summing up on the social enterprises, this kind of a pool, I would say, social environmental justice are the reasons why sustainable business exists. That's true. Social enterprises as one of the components forms of sustainable enterprises. That's also true. Eco-design principles, we didn't discuss that part, but that's a way how product designers think about the choices they make from the raw material selection till the way they put the product in the market. So they integrate environmental aspects in their designs. And that's also very important for social enterprises. Among the different ways to assess environment impacts, life cycle assessment can be one of them. Very technical tool we didn't touch upon, but this is also true. What is not true is that the less important social impact of a social enterprise is community and individual capacity development. That's not true at all, because that's what they are aiming to do. They really want to engage with local people to create new capacities and develop them. So to sum up, this is what I tried to cover in only 1 hour. I got so main reasons to include the environment. There are ethical reasons. There's a social responsibility, the governmental pressure from green consumers as well. They are well informed. The image of the enterprise is very important. Why? Because they want to be front runners. They want to have good reputation. And there are tools for that, like corporate social responsibility is one of those managerial tools. And development social enterprises can also be considered a managerial tool when one has to start from the business plan development and the business case. Thank you for your attention. Sorry, I took a little bit longer than I expected.
Thank you, Dr. Laura, for your great presentation. Now we are going to a Q&A session. Okay. From Muhammad Abadan Syakura. how the government policies affect the behavior of the companies about the social responsibility. And the second question, could you suggest for our student what topics nowadays is interesting for their thesis about the CSR?
I will go first to the last one. To be honest, I didn't get the first question, but I will answer first the last one. I think as you know, academics, teachers, we can try to find you know, some real life cases that our students could address. I mean, could work on, like addressing some specific questions that that are related to the social responsibilities of those organizations. What I do with my students is more practical type of exercises. We built in a course a project-oriented activity. I connect the students with companies that have a particular question.
Sakit.
Sorry, Laura. Okay.
So yes, indeed. So I think we can facilitate the interaction between reality, real cases, with the way students understand the topics we are teaching them in the classroom. So, and as I said, in one of my particular courses, I have collaboration with even colleagues working on social enterprises already, who, for instance, get a question from the market or from one of their partners, how to, for instance, deal with new ways to generate energy in a rural area when they are so dependent on solar panels. So our students look at different ways to cope with such a challenge. They do a literature review for them, and they come up with, hopefully, a solution for them that is more environmentally friendly, that helps the organization at the same time.
Okay.
So I think it's very important to have a good connection with the private sector in this case, just to help the students to grasp the concepts we teach them in the classroom in the real life. Thank you for your question, by the way. And the first question is it is different between social and green business? Well, in the last slides, I tried to explain that when it comes to the responsibilities of a organization, it's like they are overlapped. Yeah, so there is no strong, you know, division between being green enterprise and being social enterprise. Why? Because some of these green activity, I mean, the green challenges that the organization is trying to cope can also engage the societal members. I didn't play the movie, one of those, but in that one, that explains sustainable enterprises, they explain how they solve an environmental problem while at the same time are involving local community members. So it's just a way to name them. They can be green, they can be social, but what is important for this type of organization is that they try to engage with the local community to you know, either create new employment possibilities for them, or you know, make them part of the operation, or you know, train them in a way that they can later on use such information, such capacities to do maybe something similar, or just be able to have to get employed in other organizations. Did I answer the question?
Ya. Bapak Aba dan Sakura want to ask more to Laura?
I think it's enough. Thank you, Laura.
Okay. The question from one of our students, Febidian Saputra. There's no secret that meat consumption causes the climate change, but mostly people here in my circle doesn't know that. I think being vegan is one of the key to fight that. But I want to know, is there in your department and responsibility has that policy to be vegan or at least reduce the meat consumption? If there any, how far the policy goes and applied?
Yeah, I think that is a great question. Indeed, I think what is very important is to raise awareness of our individual actions, how they impact or can impact our environment. And it can be, that we, in a very simplistic way, can already contribute to the good quality of the environment just by, avoiding litter or create litter. I have seen in also in Europe, not only in countries like Mexico and other developing or in development countries, this litter, this solid waste spread in urban areas, in rural areas. That is I think it's not that people do that because they're they do it on purpose. They most likely don't understand that not everything that we put on the soil can be reintegrated to the soil at the speed that some materials might do, like food, right? So that's organic material will be integrated in a couple of days to the soil and maybe, also become a nutrient for the soil. But when we put in the ground materials like plastics, canes, etc., people might not realize that this will stay there for even years if no one come and pick them up from the soil. And that can be, part of the way we need to train our population to understand that every single action counts in the way we consume. I mentioned the eco labels as one of the informational instruments to be used to inform consumers about how much was needed to produce a particular product. I don't know, a block, a book. So if we have this kind of information available, and we can compare, let's say when we go to the groceries, to the supermarket to buy our groceries, when we could compare this, the products just by looking at information in the labels, this can be, very responsible consumption approach, to make this kind of responsible decisions. What would make less harm for the environment? I also, that was the reason I show you this slide with the water footprint developed by our colleague Hoekstra, because just by understanding that if you eat more often meat, we are using a lot more of the water available in the environment than if we go, let's say, more in a vegetarian diet. So these are this kind of information that is needed to spread among the societal members. And we teachers, I think we need to to train the people, even not, we don't need to wait till higher education level. We should start from the kindergarten, you know, to raise this awareness on how we can relieve or reduce our impact on the environment, and, you know, be more active, engaged in, for instance, reforestation activities, things that are relatively easy to do for everybody, but that requires a lot of consensual effort, cooperation. I hope I respond to the question, because talking about climate change, that's huge, that's big. But then as citizens, as consumers, we can give the first step, and we can collectively make the change we need.
Okay, thank you, Laura.
I'm reading here some questions.
Yeah,
I did that on purpose.
in Bahasa, I will translate. How CSR implementation in culture perspective, the difference between Europe or Western perspective and East perspective in Asia?
That's a very good question to make. I tried to cover it with one of the slides, and I very briefly say that it depends pretty much how strong the governmental institutions are in place. I know that in the Netherlands, who started this initiative of being the corporate social responsibility initiative came actually from the economic ministry, but they created a coalition with private sector members and other groups of interest, and they started, as I said, from the government, and nowadays there is this organization, Maatschappelijk Verantwoordelijk Onderneming, that is, let's say, the institution that copes with helping companies to become more socially responsible oriented, and they also help them to develop their reports, train, develop capacities, etc. But that is a particular example here in the Netherlands. In United States, as I said, sorry, I'm still referring to the north side. The private sector doesn't rely so much on the government, and therefore they like to have their specific programs, and they are more oriented projects. So, but still in the social component. I know from I don't know exactly how does it go in Asia. I know I heard that you have also this policy motivating large corporations to issue the no financial report, namely their corporate social responsibilities, in a way. But what is the orientation of the Indonesian companies? I cannot really say. Maybe I can learn from you guys. I know that in Mexico, they are still mainly focused on the environmental problems. They try to integrate in their strategies ways to prevent any environmental pressures. But I'm very interested to learn how it is implemented in Indonesia, for instance. If you are more oriented, to the social values or to the environmental protection, if there is a particular institution already established to train, to support enterprises to become more socially responsible oriented. So maybe some of your colleagues can contribute to this discussion.
Maybe join research with you, Laura.
Oh, that would be great. That would be very, very good. Yes.
Okay, we have 2 questions more. From Ibu Dina Mustikasari, how about the mechanism of CSR audit or assurance maybe in Europe? Does it exist or not? And does it have significant impact in increasing the quality of CSR program?
Yeah, that's a very good question. As far as I know, it's not like any certification like ISO 42001 that requires an auditing process. The CSR is a voluntary scheme, you know, so still companies are in a way obliged to report their social responsibilities when they are bigger than 500 employees. Since there is this directive I mentioned from 2018, but it's not since it's not regulatory yet instrument. Companies are free to decide whether they include an auditing process or not. They basically use the GR reference to check whether they are coping with the standards in this case, but it's not yet auditable, this kind of reporting. But what is important to say is that mainly companies use their reporting for benchmarking, as I also explained at the beginning, so that they can be mentioned as one of the best practices. And and they use it as a competitive advantage in the market and also to attract investors.
Yeah. Okay, the last question, I think, when the company has done the CSR program, could they immediately be categorized as the social enterprise?
That's a very nice question to make. Well, what I'm saying this because I remember we had this case that was one in Latin America where we looked at the practices of a company was in the cosmetic sector, beauty products, and they were very socially oriented. They have very nice programs for their employees, and they integrated their local the communities around them in their operations. They really have good scholarship programs for children, for schools around the facilities, but they didn't have any of these corporate social responsibility credentials. They were, I guess, not so much interested to be to use it as part of their communication strategy. They were really committed with the way they treated their employees and how they interacted with their communities. So they were doing such good work that we could say that there were social enterprises without actually being registered as a corporate social responsibility organization. So yeah, I think they are independent in a way.
Okay, the last question again.
Yes.
Okay, I will translate. How accounting fields in Europe related to CSR?
Can you repeat the question, please?
In what way that accounting have impact to in what way the CSR implementation have impact to accounting in Europe?
Yeah, also a very good question. I have been in this very large meetings organized by the Green Global Reporting Initiative. And they were hoping to, have this kind of impact on the accountability of enterprises that was a requirement even for any organization to be accountable on these social and environmental activities that they try to implement to either prevent or to protect the environment or being more social inclusive. And that's a good question to make. I don't have hard data to say that it has been well implemented. I know that this GRI organization were really advocating for such accountability of the social and environmental aspect as well. But that's something that well, if you like, we can try to find out with some practitioners here. So I know there was a strong intention for that, but how is that being implemented? I might need myself to find out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. From Yunita Fitria, one of our lecturer, is there any obstacle for company doing the social enterprise disclosure, especially in Europe? How the company determine the disclosure?
Yeah, I think that the main issue for especially social enterprises, which are small, medium, small size, I would say, family size, the main issue is the capacities that they might have in place, to be able to report, to have people just to collect the data and be able to report, to make the report. Because obviously they are mainly focused on, surviving at the beginning, to find the actual niche, to deliver the products to the consumers. And that can be, I think, the main challenge. So the amount of people that they have within the company to have this additional activity to their normal operation, let's say, even though they can be, they were born like social enterprises because, as I said, they are addressing these social problems. But the time that they might have to make a proper report and deliver it in the proper channels might be one of the main barriers for them.
All right. Okay. I think it is the last question, Laura. Okay, I will wrap up this Q&A session. That sustainable development is a key, and then every single action is count. I agree with you. We are responsible for what we consume, what we use, and especially for our student, especially for the accountant, the next accountant. You have a responsible for the accountability of sustainable report, for example, and we have many things to do to support this agenda, sustainable development agenda, I mean. Okay, thank you for all participants, for all the question. And then as a token of appreciation, we would like to give you the certificate to Secretary of Accounting Department. Please, Dr. Wulan, your time is yours. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mbak Mia, Ibu Mia, moderator. And Laura, I'm sorry, I had problem with the internet when you joined with the Zoom, so that's why I'm not available at the moment. So actually, I want to say a little bit, I mean, a kind of appreciation that it's wonderful to have you as the speaker today. And then as the secretary of accounting department. And then actually I will tell you a little bit about accounting department. The accounting department vision is to become an excellent department in teaching learning, research and community service in area of sustainability accounting. And this vision influenced much in creating and in developing program and activities such as the theme of this guest lecture. Other things are still progressing in a way. It means there are many possible activities that we will offer and propose to other university partner. Probably one of the university partner is your university, University of Twente. I hope that you mentioned earlier that you conduct conference as well, and then I hope that we can collaborate in academic activities in the future. For instance, in doing joint research or as the invited speakers of our next seminar or conference. And then uh, as appreciation from the department, this certificate is a sign that you already here, even though you're physical not here. So that's why, yeah, certificate. Yes, at the moment we want to share this certificate to you. Hang on. Hmm.
That's the convenience of the digital times
Yeah.
that we are living in, right? That you just do click and it's
Yeah.
sent, received.
Yeah. Cheap, cheaper and easier.
Yes,
Uh,
and you know, paperless.
yeah, paperless. That's why
I
the
love that. I
spirit
love
of
that.
sustainability. Hang on.
Exactly. Yeah. And we
Oh,
also
this.
save a lot of, you know, CO2 emissions
Yeah.
because, well, nobody should travel.
Yeah, of course. At the moment, so this is the certificate for you from our department, the accounting department. I hope that we can continue the collaboration.
It's very beautiful. Thank
Yeah,
you. Yes,
yeah. Thank you.
definitely. I know
Yeah,
that I touch upon very, you know, in a very general way,
yeah.
the two topics. Um, you know, each of them require a complete course, and you know about it. But
Mm-hmm.
I was happy to be able to, yeah, to try to connect the two important topics of social enterprises and
Yeah.
social and corporate social responsibility at once in 1
Okay,
hour.
but
So that
yeah,
was
that's
also
why it's too hard. But that's why I would like to express the sincere gratitude to you, uh, who already share your knowledge and your experience in social enterprise and in CSR as well. That's why it's tough thing, but for us, it's like learn something new is very important for us as well. So
yeah, yes,
yeah, yeah,
and you know have a different perspective.
yeah,
I
okay.
also would love to learn from you guys because even though
There are
I
many
have
topic actually. There are many topic. And then I
yes,
talked with Julie, and I'm sorry this morning like make you made you in a rush because uh the time differences. So that's
I
why.
misunderstood. I thought
Yeah.
that was 2 o'clock Dutch time.
Oh,
So
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank
that's
God
why.
I was already woke up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why. And then thank you for your attendance today. And
Thank you very
then
much for the
okay.
invitation. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed. Nice question, very good ones, and let's try to build, as you said, a research agenda that we can both sides contribute to, and
Yeah.
looking forward.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and most of our lecturer already certified with CSR as well. So that's why we quite familiar and quite understood with the GRI as well. So thank you for all. And
Thank you.
then yeah, thank you. And then at the moment, at this moment, I will give a certificate to the moderator as well. Thank you for your time and your effort, Miss Yoremia, because you make this guest lecture so alive because
Thank
everyone
you.
participate and then a very interesting discussion as well. So this is certificate for you. And then hang on. Yeah. Can you look at? Can you see it?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you, Laura, and thank you, Ibu Mia, for this guest lecture. I hope that we can continue to collaborate for
Yeah.
in the near future. Okay. Thank you
Is
very much.
there sorry to interrupt. Is there an idea that we make a collective picture?
Yeah, of course. After
Yes.
this, yeah.
Very good. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I can also make a picture myself.
Okay.
Nice souvenir.
Yeah, of course. Actually, most of the participants already leave because some of them maybe have other lecture, either lecturers or students.
No problem. I
Yes,
understand.
except for the lecture. So the number of participants today around 211 to 211. So
Yeah.
now it's less than 199. So
Yeah.
we will take a group picture. I will ask the administrator. Hang on.
If that's possible with so many people at the same time, not sure, but
The administrator will do it.
okay.
Please, everybody, on your camera, please.
Okay.
Okay, hang on everyone. And I want to say thank you to all participants. Sorry, I didn't mention before. So thank you for your attendance for this guest lecture. So this is the first four pages. So hang on.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Okay. Next. Okay. Yeah. The second page.
Oh.
Yeah, there are four pages.
Oh, 4 pages. Okay.
Yeah. Second page. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Big smiles.
Yeah, smile.
Great.
No, third page. Nggak apa-apa. Udah nggak apa-apa.
Is someone making the pictures? Because I can only see 3 people.
Don't worry, I will send it to you, Laura.
Great.
The last picture. Yeah, the last 1, 2, 3. Okay. So picture session is end. And Laura, can you give us for your PPT material, please?
Yeah, sure. I can share it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
I will send it to
Julie.
Yoremia.
Oh, okay. That's great. That's great. Okay. By this end of session, picture session, so can I return to the moderator to close this guest lecture?
Okay, Bulan.
Okay. Thank you, Laura.
Okay, I'm leaving. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Laura.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Oke, dears.
Ya, terima kasih ya.
Thank you, keren.
Thank you, keren.
Keren.
Hari Rabu ada lagi ya. Hari